and thank you and welcome back to another one of those fun-filled rants. Normally, Stuart Brisgell is here with me. Unfortunately, or fortunately for him, he's out on assignment. Lucky him. And if it's your first time, welcome to the Rant Network, where we bring you unfiltered, uncensored conversations on a wide range of topics. The podcast is dedicated to giving you a platform to express your opinions, folks. Yes, yours. Share your thoughts, experiences, and ideas, and hear from a variety of perspectives and honest opinions. Please join us as we dive into the latest news, culture, politics, so much more. And today I'm going to knock politics again, but this time it's cross-border, folks. Because we deal generally with rants from the absurdity of modern life to discussions about the deeper issues that affect our society. Guess what? We got you covered. Sit back, relax. Let's go on this journey together. Discovery and exploration. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rant Network is live. So, what am I going to complain about today? What am I going to rant about today? Well, I got to tell you, on Thursday, Joe Biden made his first visit to Canada. That's right. JB, President Bubblehead, the guy who seems to be can't walk up the stairs to the airplane. I can knock him from here to tomorrow. And yes, it's infantile at times. But this time, I have a bone to pick with Joe Biden. You see, many people around the world believe that Canada is a pimple on the global butt. In that the United States and Canada, what does the United States need Canada for? But Canada is the United States' largest trading partner. The economies of both of our countries are so intertwined. It is such an important, we are an important economic ally for the United States. And yes, the United States is way bigger than Canada. And as I'm here dealing with a little bit of a cold, the joke is that if the United States sneezes, Canada gets a cold. So what's my bone to pick with Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden's coming here with fanfare, pomp, and circumstance. And seeing that he's a Democrat, of course, the darling and the love of the liberal media here in Canada, which is very, very, more liberal with the media. Whether it's the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, the National Post, other publications, the love affair, and especially the CBC, the truth is that unfortunately or fortunately, the love affair for a Democratic president always supersedes the love affair for a Republican president. So Biden comes here with more popularity in Canada percentage-wise than he has in the United States, which is kind of cute. But did you look at the clock? Did you look at the date? March 23rd, 2023. Now, if you go back to the time of Ronald Reagan, so we're talking about the 1980s, the early 80s, U.S. presidents have been coming to Canada in many ways as one of their first visits, pretty much within a few months of their inauguration. That's how strong the relationship has been. There have been two exceptions. One, Donald Trump, took a year and 5 months, and now Joe Biden, who has taken 2 years and 2 months. Even Barack Obama, Democratic president, inaugurated in 2009, came to visit then conservative Prime Minister Harper within a month of his inauguration. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how important the United States views Canada. The media, I don't care about the media, but it is about whether or not American presidents, how they look at Canada. But here's the real reason why Joe Biden is my problem. You see, on the first day of being elected, do you recall what he did? He canceled, that's right, canceled the Keystone Pipeline project. Now, yes, his green-loving, environmentalist-loving backers wanted him to cancel this program. It was an environmental nightmare. On both sides of the border, you heard that time and time again. But let me remind you of what the Keystone Project was supposed to be. As I read it here off my notes, it would have run 1,400 kilometers from the Canadian border to Nebraska. Okay? It would have created potential of 13,000 jobs in both the United States and Canada, and would have generated $1.6 billion in wages. Now, critics at the time said the figures, saying only 50 permanent jobs would have been created after the pipeline was built, and that the larger number were temporary workers. So that's how people have to criticize it. But when we think about these type of projects, these are temps, but this would have created employment. But the true impact of Keystone is now coming to light. As a report came from the U.S. Energy Department released this year, showing that the two-year construction period, right, would have seen between 16,000 and nearly 60,000 people employed. The pipeline would have also contributed between 3.1 and 9.6 billion just to the American GDP. That's the American side, folks. And Republicans are losing their minds over the frustration. But the real pain, folks, happened in Canada. The billions of dollars lost by Canadian companies who would have benefited from it, they got hurt. And Joe Biden didn't care. He doesn't care to hurt Canada. Yep, that's right. He doesn't care to hurt Canada. And we saw that on Inauguration Day. His goal, to de-Trump Trump, get rid of whatever Trump did. And guess what? He opted to create this, I don't know what you want to call it, vision of what, the United States is going to be. The U.S. is going to be a world power again, blah, blah, blah. Instead, he ruined and he hurt Canada, your best friend. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you hurt your best friend? Of course not. And for criticism for 4 years of the Donald Trump presidency was exactly that. Donald Trump was going to hurt Canada. Let me remind you, everybody, that in that NAFTA was ripped up, and we were going to create a brand new trade agreement between Canada, the United States, and Mexico, right? Canada, U.S., and Mexico. And the argument in the comments were that the United States were going to benefit greater at Canada and Mexico's expense. And our feckle piece of useless Prime Minister Justin Trudeau couldn't do anything. He gave in. On this side, he had no choice to give in. On the other side, he's crying and whining to Canadians that blah, blah, Trump, protectionism, and blah, blah, blah. That's his job. Please go back to YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. Go back and you'll see that that's one of the rants that we had here at the Rant Network. It's the job of your leader to protect your economy to the fullest. And yes, Trump slapped in new tariffs. And yes, Trump, protected America more. And absolutely, he strong-armed everybody and won because that's his job. By contrast, what has Justin done to help Canada? Bupkis, nothing. So we waited for a new president to come on board, a Democrat, no less, right? Joe Biden was going to be the great savior. Joe Biden's going to help Canada. Joe Biden's a friend of Canada. Democrats love Canada. Man, are you blind if that's what you believe? Because Joe Biden has been as painful to Canada as Donald Trump without the bluster and the noise. Now you're thinking, what are you talking about? The Build Back Better program that he wanted to do, that Joe Biden wanted to pass, that was about creating more opportunities for the United States at Canada's expense. One of those examples was clean energy, was about electric cars. That he was going to punish Canada and he was going to reward the United States. His Inflation Reduction Act, which by the way has nothing to do with inflation, it's just a comical name, will see the use of almost $400 billion worth of tax credits and subsidies on green initiatives and climate policies as it works toward this so-called net zero strategy, to benefit if you're using American companies, Canadian. So by protecting American businesses the way he did, he's once again hurt Canadian. But my friends in the liberal press, where you are? Where are you to talk about this? You're nowhere. Because, again, we don't upset liberals. We support liberals and Democrats. They are our friends. Conservatives, are our enemy. But Joe Biden has proven that he is more toxic to Canada than Trump. Now, scratch your head, liberals. Scratch your head, folks, and listen to what I just said. I didn't say that Joe Biden was bad to Americans in any way, shape, or form. You want to believe that? I believe that, but to Canada, Joe Biden has done nothing but harm Canada. And the fact that he didn't show up here for 2 years, 2 months tells you something. Now, you're probably sitting there going, but David, COVID, travel, yeah. Come on, guys. He's made 10 overseas trips, 17 different countries. He's been to Britain 5 times. Don't give me some cock and bull that he couldn't have come here earlier than the last 2 years, 2 months. By the by, Justin Trudeau has been to the United States, but Biden has not come to Canada. And they can make 1,002 excuses, but there are none. So Joe Biden's been here with pomp and circumstance and met with Canadian leaders, and people are going to, all that wonderful rah stuff and all that. But, why is Joe Biden and why are Justin Trudeau happy about this visit? In many ways, we're going to get off the whole reality problem. And the reality problem is that they're both mired in a Chinese-related scandal. Biden's got a problem where his family's taking money from the Chinese, and Justin with the election problem, which we check out Wednesday's rant about that. But really, we need to start talking here about real issues. And if Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau really sat down and talked about the real issues, the border, and yes, the Canadian border, although it's not getting the press as it does in the United States, the U.S. border is flooded in with people coming in from the southern border, and they have been busing from the south to the north, and then lo and behold, from the northern United States into Canada. Roxham Road here in Quebec, coming through the border, all of a sudden, those migrants become our problem. We don't want Mexican fentanyl. We don't want this problem. But the Americans are dumping it now on us. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Defense. Both Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and President Joe Biden stink when it comes up to defense. I mean, let's be realistic here, right? They're both stinky poo, right? They both don't care, you, me, whatever. Because they have to show everybody that they're not really, they're not military driven and they're not this and not that. But we're living in a bad world, people. And we need to spend more on defense, and we need to get out there. NATO, Putin as a challenge. Xi Jinping is a challenge. North Korea is a challenge. Iran is an existential challenge. And yet, Canada and the United States have to find a way to work together to create programs, to work together to do something about defense. Listen, Canada cannot do anything without the United States. The United States killed the Avro Air program back in the 1960s, and it would have killed jobs in the United States with McDonnell Douglas and Boeing and all that, and it killed it. And Canada lost all that wonderful invention because the United States was going to take the lead. But they're not taking the lead. They're not even close to taking the lead. So look, folks, here's my question to you. After all this rant, is Joe Biden still Canada's friend? Is Joe Biden still the kind of guy that you would want to, to have with you and to support you? I don't think so. I think he cares more about America. He doesn't care about Canada. But let's wait and see. That's it for today, folks. Thank you so much. Really appreciated you joining and listening in today at the Rant Network. We hope you enjoyed it. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to be back next week again. Stu will be back here. We appreciate your comments and your feedback. In the meantime, follow us on social media. Share your thoughts with us. Leave us comments. Feel whatever you do. We'd love to hear back from you. Remember, you make this the show. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. We look forward to hearing from you next time. Stay well.